Your comments on the Wiseman trade. Do you think the Warriors gave up on James Wiseman too early? What do you think is going to happen with James Wiseman when he goes to Detroit? He's actually going to get minutes, and I'm excited to see James Wiseman be able to play basketball, be able to learn basically on the fly, on the floor, and to be able to go out there in a low pressurized environment and play the rest of the season. He'll get 25 to 30 games with Detroit, be able to go out there and just play basketball, get comfortable, and then come back next year, and we'll see where he is on the rotation, in the rotation. 888-957-9570. Love to hear your thoughts on the deal. It broke yesterday at about 11 o'clock during our show, and most of the commentary came from Mark and I, and then Steiny and Guru in the changeover.
For James Wiseman, it's going to be a rotation sensation. I think I can say that.
Yeah, sure.
I feel good about that. I'm rooting really hard for him, man. Like, I didn't think he fit with the Warriors. I understood, like, the idea behind it. You get a guy who's 7 foot. He can clearly score. Like, we know he can score the basketball, but it's like, does he have feel on offense? Does he have enough feel and presence on defense? Can he rebound? And I get the idea and how tantalizing it was for Golden State looking at this guy who's 7 feet tall, super athletic, and now you're envisioning a quote-unquote small ball lineup with James Wiseman at center because he can be switchable on defense and he's going to pull down rebounds and he can score and he can shoot out a little bit. I get the theory, but it was clearly not going to work on the timeline the Warriors are operating under. I get wanting to have two timelines. It just wasn't realistic, at least not for the development that James Wiseman needs. I think it's a little bit, I don't want to derail this conversation, but I think it's a little bit what the Niners are finding themselves running into with Trey Lance. Like, hey, there's a player here, but we also have a championship team that player doesn't get to struggle with.
Well, especially the player at quarterback. And it's one thing to have James Wiseman come in and play and struggle. You've got a championship team, but you can play and win without a center. The Warriors have won championships without having a center. And this is where Bonte and I were kind of in agreement in the changeover. Wiseman did play well. He was showing good signs his rookie year. Then he got hurt, and he missed the entire season last year. And so had he not gotten hurt, had he been able to be a guy who could play 10 to 15 minutes, let's say 55 games a year, if he last year was able to play 15 minutes a night over the course of 60 games, that's 900 minutes of NBA basketball where you could have played with him, you could have grown with him, you would struggle with him, but at times you would have been able to put him out there and allow him to somewhat assimilate not only to the way you play, but to the NBA itself. And because he got hurt and you went out and you won the championship, now you get to this season where James Wiseman, he was still back at square one in his third year, and you were struggling as a team. And Shasky was right. Last year you started 18-2. So you would have had a luxury last year to play him, struggle with him, and endure some of his lapses. But this year, you were 3-7. Yeah. You didn't have that same luxury. And even right now, to borrow from Guru, I'm fighting for my life. If I'm the Golden State Warriors, you're the 9 seed, and you're a game and a half up on Utah, who is on the outside looking in right now.
And that's the thing is Wiseman, it's not, the issue is like 8 minutes a game was not probably going to help him that much. And he was so raw still that those 8 minutes a game could be killer. Like, we've seen how many close games the Warriors have won and lost this year. So you see why he fell out of the rotation. And it makes sense if you're Golden State and you're looking at, I don't think this was a salary dump necessarily. I think it was a cost benefit dump. Like, okay, you can keep James Wiseman for $133 million, I think it is, over the next 2 years.
With the luxury tax,
what it's going to cost with the luxury tax. So you can keep him, or you can pour that asset into something that's going to help you right now, and as an added benefit, save money in the future. Because I don't think they saw a path for James Wiseman ever to be really good with this team while he was on his rookie deal.
And I was listening to Draymond Green's podcast a little bit, and he talked about the timeline for James Wiseman and how long it would take, and if it takes a Jermaine O'Neal length of time in terms of games played at 60 games a year, which is about all anybody plays anymore, that's 3 more seasons to get to where Jermaine O'Neal was. It took Jermaine O'Neal about 210 games with Portland to them to give up on him. He goes to Indiana, and even his first year in Indiana, he wasn't a double-double player, so it took him about 250 games to really become the kind of player that we eventually would see, 9-time All-Star, borderline but not quite Hall of Fame talent. And if you look at it timeline-wise for James Wiseman, you're looking at 3 more seasons. So you're looking at this year where he didn't really play, and now if he goes to Detroit and he starts to really play, he gets 25 games this year, let's say. At the end of that, he will have 1 full season worth of play over 3 years. So is it going to take 2 more years for him to become a 16 and 10 kind of guy, 16 points, 10 rebounds a night? If that's the case, well, then you can't have him do that here.
Right.
Even if you commit to playing him, you cannot have him struggle and grow here if you're in a championship window.
And I think it's interesting when you talk about like the whole 2 timelines part of this. Because Mark's big thing yesterday was like the 2 timelines failed, it didn't work, they messed up. But I thought that they weren't interested, or it didn't sound like anyway, based on all the reporting around the OG Anunoby trade. It sounded like the Raptors wanted Kuminga and talk stalled at that point. The Warriors said, no, this is our guy. And same thing, the report about Moses Moody was the Warriors were shopping him, but their asking price was really steep, which tells me the Warriors were like, yeah, if we can trade Moses Moody and fleece somebody for him, we'll do it. But they, I think, still think that he can play a little bit in the future. It's just a matter of like, yeah, hey, he's not going to play on a nightly basis right now, but he is further along in his development than James Wiseman is. Moses Moody played key minutes in the Western Conference Finals.
And why isn't he now? That, to me, is the question that I would love to hear Steve Kerr address. Steve Kerr tonight, 5 o'clock, with Damon and Rado, pushed from yesterday because the trade was not finalized.
Great tease.
Thank you. And I love listening to the Steve Kerr interview, and I wonder if he can address in any real way what's happened to Moses Moody. Because now if you look at the playoff rotation, assuming the Warriors do make the playoffs, your bench is going to be Poole, it's GP2, DiVincenzo, JaMychal Green, and maybe one other player potentially, but that's a solid 9-man right there if you go with Wiggins and Looney, Steph, Clay, and Dre as your starting 5. So feels like the Warriors got better yesterday. Andrew Bogut on with Steiny and Guru yesterday talked about this being a win-win for Wiseman and the Dubs.
Know the game, you got to read the game, you got to read spacing, you got to kind of have a decent IQ, and he's still young and developing, and his skill set probably wasn't suited towards that. Now that he's gone to Detroit, and he's gonna get some touches, and maybe they'll allow him to play through 10 or 15 touches in the post, make or miss, and let him play through those mistakes. I think then we'll see where he's really at in the playoffs. So I think it was the right move for Wiseman's career. I think the Warriors were good enough to let him move on and get on with life.
Andrew Bogut yesterday, Steiny and Guru. He goes to a Detroit team, Kyle, 7-21 at home, 7-21 on the road. Bottom of the table in the Eastern Conference, 14-42. They got 26 left to go. James Wiseman gets a chance to go out there and play a couple dozen games and just go play.
Yeah, and that's what he needs to do, man.
Exactly.
He just has to play basketball. He's going to stink for at least part of those games because he just hasn't played.
Right.
It's like, hey, you high school freshman that wants to be on the radio, jump on and host a show. Like, that's probably not going to go great for them.
Hi, I'm in for Mark Willard. Is this thing on?
That sounds like me.
Sorry. You and I both.
Right. So that's just, it wouldn't go great. But I think that this was good for him. I think it's good for the Warriors because Gary Payton II solidifies, to me, a playoff rotation and gives them something they were missing on the defensive end. Like just a legit, like, hey, he can go guard, maybe not for a whole game, but he's going to give Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and John Morant and Devin Booker. He's going to give those guys problems when he defends them. Like I said, can he guard a Jason Tatum for a whole game? Probably not. But if he gets switched on to him, it's like, okay, this is fine. So now the rotation's 10 guys deep. Can JaMychal Green and Jonathan Kuminga give you what you're missing with Otto Porter from last year? Because if they can, you're looking at largely the same rotation going into the playoffs that you had last year.
And to your point, I mean, now you have an additional body to guard the other team's best player, the best wing, or the best two guard. Kuminga can play at times. I don't think Klay Thompson is as good on the ball as he's been. Wiggins can be and has been a great defender, and now you add Gary Payton II, and now it feels like your defense got significantly better. 888-957-3776, 9570. Give us a call. Rich, I saw you on there. You were on hold. I was about to go to you, but you dropped off. You can also hit us on the Xfinity Mobile text line, 888-957-9570 from the 415. Sucks Wiseman didn't work out. I wish him the best. No hard feelings here. As for GP2, home run acquisition, not a grand slam. They know he's a scheme fit on both ends, and he will fit in no time. Let's talk about the GP2 addition instead of just the Wiseman subtraction. How much better does this make their defense immediately?
Significantly. I think significantly better is probably the move. You get a guy who can defend full court. We saw him do that last year. And remember when he went down against Memphis? It was like, can they win this series without Gary Payton II? It was a big deal. And then he knows how to fit offensively. He is smart with how he cuts. He can hang out in the dunker spot. He can catch lobs. He can shoot the three a little bit, especially that corner three. And the big thing is, and you said this, and I agree fully, his fit, we know what he does. He knows how to fit with this team. So there's 27 games left, 26, 27 games left for them. There's not going to be this like, yeah, hey, he needs a month and a half to figure out how to fit in this system. And even then it's a question mark. They know what they're getting.
Exactly.
And they know how he slots in. They know how he fits. Do they still need some size? Yeah, maybe. But we've said that every year about this team since 2015.
Yeah.
Oh, they need more size. Oh, they need more. What are they going to? That's fine. There's going to be a robust buyout market.
It's not always robust with big men, and I know the boys this morning on the roast were talking about Serge Ibaka. He, I think, would be a great fit for an 8-minute-a-night guy, but it seems like Phoenix is a more likely destination considering how close he is with Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. Also, Miami, they were saying, is rumored to be interested in Serge Ibaka. For me, if you're looking for a 10th, 11th man, an additional body, a specialized big who you can throw in there and play up against DeAndre Ayton and some of the other bigs that you might face down the road in the playoffs, Serge Ibaka would be great. We'll have to see what the buyout market holds. 888-957-9570. We will get your calls up in moments. Anthony Slater on yesterday with Damon and Ratto talked about the Wiseman for Payton trade, and he talked about it in a vacuum.
They were searching for a veteran who could help now, and it was not easy to get with James Wiseman on the market, and they were pretty creative in the way they got it to this point that gets Gary Payton II back. And the simplest argument is they found a veteran they know fits. He helps. I think if you take two steps back and look at the whole string of moves over the last couple of years, it's not a fantastic look, but you can credit them for accepting mistakes and like you said, kind of leaning into it.